is the best performing currency currently in Africa. And it has appreciated almost 20%, currently trading at 129 shillings against the US dollar. As I look at the screen here, achieving the plan you've really shown us by those macroeconomic indications. On the fiscal policy economic reforms, Your Excellency, the government just recently launched the electronic government procurement system, the e-procurement, by Q1 of 2025. This digital procurement, Your Excellency, ensures businesses will be able to compete fairly for government contracts, fulfilling your pledge to eliminate insider trading and corruption, and this will enhance the access of the millions of SMEs that Kenya National Chambers of Commerce represent. On the investment climate and access to credit, we want to applaud the Hustler Fund that has been given to the SMEs, and 25% of Kenyans, so 25 million Kenyans have accessed this since November 2022. We also want to applaud, Your Excellency, the establishment of the Ministry of Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises and Cooperatives as a stand-alone ministry. Indeed, this is the home of Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Industry. As these medium and small enterprises represent 98% of businesses, it only contributes to 40% of the GDP. So there is a problem of our structure of the economy, that the large businesses contributes 60%, and therefore in terms of growth, that is a big challenge, and this team that is here, Your Excellency, will partner your government to be able to bring more business into the big tire business. And I really want to appreciate the patron members who are here, the large banks, the large manufacturers who are here, who are supporting the SMEs across the country. In the agriculture sector, most of our members are in the export business. Your fertilizer subsidy program has stabilized the production cost, reduced the production cost, and has increased production. And this has enhanced the exports and become competitive of our Kenyan products. We want to applaud your government in the reforms in the tea sector, coffee sector, and specifically in the sugar sector, especially passing of the Sugar Act of 2024. And I do have board members from Western Kenya and Nyanza and Coast Province, which I think they are very happy about the Sugar Act of 2024. Kenya National Chambers of Commerce, Your Excellency, would really want to appreciate your support and your personal participation during the just recently concluded World Chambers Federation. We managed to bring over 65 chambers of commerce globally, over 250 international delegates, and another 250 regional delegates. Indeed, it was the first time on African soil that such a conference encompassing international chambers of commerce that is representing over 45 million companies and in 177 countries. Thank you very much for gracing that event, and it has put Kenya National Chamber in the map. As we come here today, we did a quick survey of our members across the country in the grassroots, Your Excellency. Yes, the macroeconomics are very promising. However, there are a few challenges. When we did the survey across the 47 counties, and we did get responses from 15,000 companies across the country. As far as those who run shops in Kisumu, I know Israel Agina, the chairman, is here. Workshops in Machakos, Matatu circles in Mombasa, Mohammed Jamal is here as a chairman, and the startups in Nakuru, Said Ali Mwangi, who is representing them. We got responses from all across the country. One of the big challenges, and they have told me, Your Excellency, that I should not leave here, I would want to share a few of those challenges. One is the issue of the pending bills. We have an estimated 626 billion verified pending bills, both at the county and the national government. This cash flow crunch has forced many suppliers to downsize or shut down. We have a solution, Your Excellency. We have discussed with the banks who are our corporate members, and even this week we had a meeting with IFC, and if your government can be able to take that solution, we would really appreciate, Your Excellency. The next is multiple levies and permits across the 47 counties. As we celebrate the coming of the African Free Continental Trade Area, Your Excellency, my members here cannot trade across the 47 counties easily without paying multiple permits. As a country and as a champion of open borders, and I know, Your Excellency, you even say that Kenya is a visa-free country for tourists to come. We want a visa-free movement of our goods across the 47 counties. With the Council of Governors, we have had almost 1 year public participation to come up with a single payment permit across the 47 counties. However, it has taken quite a long time, and we would like Your Excellency to be able to fast-track the single business permit across the 47 counties, so that as we trade within Kenya, we can trade across the 47 countries, the 54 countries in Africa. We usually carry out business barometer for Kenya National Chambers of Commerce to be able to know the economic situation in the country. Top on the list in terms of challenges to the micro, small and medium enterprises is access to credit. We have a number of infrastructure gaps, especially in cost of energy, roads, water, especially in the counties. Market access and value addition. As we collect a lot of market intelligence, there are quite a number of issues that we will be able to demonstrate to you in terms of how Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and the private sector can solve for you, Your Excellency. In terms of this mismatch of skills and the technical vocational training, Your Excellency, is that for Kenya to achieve dual training, we have to move away from voluntary private sector attachment of students. The model that we have currently, Your Excellency, is that the students will learn, they will come to our businesses and our factories for a 3-month attachment. From moving around the world, we have seen, and I think we are suggesting a first kind of approach of incentives. I know your government is currently running an internship program and also is paying school fees for technical and vocational institutions. What we are proposing is tax benefits for businesses and industries that are attaching students, not only when they finish their year of study, but part of that allocation you allocate to TVET, Your Excellency, is that you can allocate it in terms of tax benefit for the businesses and factories that attach students from year 1 to year 3 or until they finish their degree, Your Excellency. And that one will move away from voluntary dual training to incentive-based. And finally, when we learn from our German Chambers of Commerce, it is mandatory for businesses to be able to attach students for them to get their annual licenses. Our proposal to those challenges, Your Excellency, as I come to conclude, is that to fast-track the clearance of the pending bills of 626 billion, we know you floated an infrastructure bond of around 400 million USD. We are proposing that Kenya government can float a special corporate bond or even a pending bill bond. What will happen, Your Excellency? Immediately, you will get back 20% in terms of taxes. Secondly, the banks who are patron members who are here, the non-performing loans will go down. There is going to be a stimulus economy in the environment, and therefore will move away from the reduced liquidity that we have in Kenya right now. On tax regime review, I know currently there is a finance bill that has been approved by Cabinet that you chair. We propose for SMEs a tax regime review to cap the turnover tax at a maximum of 0.5% with no additional VAT or corporate tax for the small and medium enterprises. You'll definitely see them paying more. We are also proposing a tax holiday of 2 years for startups. This, we have studied the Indian economy for startups, and we want fast tracking of the startup bill. And currently, India is the #1 country that churns out the highest number of unicorns or companies that have turnover of over $1 billion and currently around 130 billion. And I think we can count a dozen of that for Kenya. So if you give us those tax holidays, 2 things will happen. 1, growth. Secondly, you'll formalize the SMEs. On access to government procurement, and this our members have really stated, Your Excellency, that we want your government to be able to reserve contracts of over 5 billion Kenya shillings to Kenyan-owned companies. And I want to insist, Your Excellency, Kenyan-owned, not Kenyan-registered companies. And I know the challenges that usually comes with that. That currently, there are very few companies in Kenya that can be able to undertake such kind of volume of government contracts. And this, from our study, is that for the last 22 years, the access of Kenyan companies, especially in terms of contractors and suppliers of goods, has not been fair. And even currently we are seeing as low as even 500 million being accessed by locally registered but internationally owned companies, Your Excellency. And for these companies to be capacitated, Your Excellency, we are proposing the establishment of a construction guarantee that will go into a construction bank, so that the main challenge that we have engineers, consultants who are highly trained, who are working for these international companies. We propose that we have a construction guarantee and a construction bank letter, so that these companies can be able to access and they can be able to complete the projects that you give them up to 5 billion, Your Excellency. The Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary and the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Mudavadi, we signed an MOU with Burundi Chamber. The President of Burundi Chamber told me that Burundi now is undergoing reconstruction. When they finish elections next month, they are going to reconstruct their parliament. They are going to reconstruct their palace. I can see it's going on here. And he told me he wants me to get Kenyan companies with capacity to be able to undertake those projects in Burundi that is being supported by IMF, World Bank, and other multilateral loans. It will be a very big challenge for me to get indigenous companies. Your Excellency, we have to build our Kenyan companies because Africa is looking at us. And actually, the Chamber President of Burundi told me, in terms of significance, is number 3 in the country. And you can guess who is number 1 and number 2. And for us also to build the industries, because we have analyzed the environment, only 15% of the turnover of the manufacturing sector is owned by small and medium enterprises. 85% is owned by the large companies and majorly multinational companies. And this is for for the last 60 years. We are proposing, Your Excellency, that as you proceed to develop infrastructure, the roads, water, kindly capitalize Kenya Industrial Estates, Kenya Development Industrial Corporation, Agricultural Finance Corporation. And I would want to invite you to a study that we've done in the world-leading powerhouse in manufacturing. In 1989, there was a similar incident in China called Tiananmen Square, and we had it last year. When the population was told, and the private sector, we want you to develop the country, they didn't have capital. They started Agricultural Bank, they started Construction and Industrial Bank, they started development banks to give credit to the private sector in that country. And when we study, majority of the companies that come from that country, Your Excellency, were formed between 1990 and 1991, and currently they are global companies. We would want to invite you, as Kenya National Chambers of Commerce, to modernize these institutions so that we can be able to grow Kenyan companies that can be able to compete globally in terms of access to credit. And we have done, we shall be demonstrating shortly as Kenya National Chambers of Commerce. We are currently issuing collateral-free low-interest single-digit loan with support from MasterCard. We call it Ginwe program. And I'd like to appreciate my predecessor, Richard Ngatia. Thank you very much. Started during COVID time. He's mentored me. Recently, we have trained over 31,000 micro businesses. We have issued 26,000 with loans across the country of 400 million. I would like to give you two examples, Your Excellency. In Samburu, there's a lady called Doreen. She owns a company called Genco. She exports beef from goats. We gave her 14 million. She was able to redistribute the 14 million to 300 women to buy goats, fatten them for between 1 month to 3 months, Your Excellency. And over 1 year, she has managed to increase her turnover to 6 tons weekly. And in terms of money, 63%. I want you to think in terms of your agenda of increasing exports. The challenge was getting quality goat meat. She didn't have money to give to the women who are her suppliers. Her suppliers were given money in advance for 3 months to fatten the goats. She has increased her turnover by 63%. Currently, we are exporting 1 trillion. If we have a credit system to the exporters, we can be able to increase our 1 trillion exports to maybe 1.6 trillion and reduce the trade imbalance in terms of traders and goods. In manufacturing, we've got a young lady from my city, and thank you for coronating Eldoret City as a city. She was working in one of the industries that closed. They manufacture plastics. She was trading in groundnuts. We gave her 7,000. 1 year, 3 months ago, she started making groundnut butter in a 1-bedroom house. She started selling. She came for another 20,000. She grew a capital. She bought a baking equipment still in her house and hired another extra room. I know KEBS will not approve, but she's currently baking bread made of peanut butter and wheat flour, and she has employed 2 other people. With this success, Your Excellency, we would like for you, Your Excellency, to allow KNCCI. We have formed a circle. Coming from that success, National Chambers of Commerce and Industry Circle, as an entity, to access Hustler Fund and other funds, Your Excellency, of around 2 billion for onward lending to an organized group that you see here today, composed of over 60,000 companies and another 2 million as associated members through other business membership organizations in the grassroots. In terms of supporting exports, Your Excellency, we have established 2 international offices. One in China, which you witnessed the MOU that we signed. We signed ourselves in the month of November 2023. Since we opened that office, we have exported Kenyan goods worth 650 million Kenyan shillings, composed of a young lady who would have never dreamt of accessing international market. She is currently exporting leather products, belts, and wallets. Who would think that a young lady of 34 years would be able to access international market? They can only access it through an organized business membership organization like Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Industry. In terms of agriculture, we are going to demonstrate our solution by our ICT committee of the chamber. They've been able to streamline the dairy sector. We want you to support that and run it as a government program. In the mining sector, Your Excellency, they have told me we need reforms of the mining, establishment of a mining regulatory authority to be able to be issuing license. In the livestock sector, we want operationalization of the National Livestock Marketing Board, Your Excellency, so that we can be able to increase exports of meat, because currently the demand for export is higher than what we can currently export or get it from the market. As Kenya National Chambers of Commerce, we thank Kenya government for giving us issuance of ordinary certificates of origin. But we would like to request government, as it is happening globally, as Chambers of Commerce, that you could give us the issuance of preferential certificate of origins, that is the ones for AGOA, East African Community, COMESA, and the SCFTA, so that we can continue doing the international trade and market in Kenya efficiently, like the demonstrations that we have done across Africa, and even opening offices in China and Dubai. So that we can be able to compare ourselves with peers, such as the American Chamber, and these are the top 5 leading economies in the world. The German Chamber, the German economy is the largest in Europe, the Turkish Chamber, and the Chinese Chambers of Commerce and Industry, is that we are proposing Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Industry, and the whole AGM is here, and they have proposed, Your Excellency, that we want to establish a statutory body as Kenya National Chambers of Commerce, which will be able to have representation from all sizes, all sectors of the economy, so that we can build a very strong chamber. We have done benchmarking with the German Chamber, Turkish Chamber, Singapore Chamber, UAE that we signed MOU yesterday. This is a trend, and not only that, we are going to produce policies to help governments to be able to compete internationally. So we would like you to support us when we go to Parliament, and we have discussed that with the Ministry of Investments, and thank you for giving us the CS and the PS. I've briefed them already. I've also met the Chair of Trade in Parliament, and they are waiting with bated breath, and they have promised us that they will pass it with speed. Your Excellency, finally, Kenya National Chambers of Commerce was privileged to be given Ufanisi House next to Parliament by the first President of the Republic of Kenya, Hayati Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. Unfortunately, in 2014, because of security reasons, there was a threat to our Kenyan Parliament. The parliamentary square was cordoned, that included our Ufanisi House with other buildings. We are proposing, Your Excellency, and we have discussed this with the Speaker of the National Assembly, And we propose that we sell this building to Parliament or Kenya government, and the proceeds that we get kindly allocate us land so that we can be able to build modern offices for Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Industry and the convention center, so that we stop being squatters and we are the captains of the industry.